Hey guys, this is Steve with Orlando Collector Deviants. Here today we are with Alex, I prefer to ballet dance Jebailey. And of course the mouth behind the mic is Trish. Boris is so dreamy Halsey.
He's such a hottie.
And just so you know who Boris is, Alex, I'll give you a little picture of him right there.
I think I have the same glass.
Yeah, he's one of our big supporters. So I am so happy to have you on.
Yeah, some of those pictures were a trip, man. You went really digging in my Facebook.
Oh yes, you're the first one I'm going to say that didn't show any reaction though, until right now. Because a lot of times
because I was looking, I was reminiscing. I'm like, these stalkers right here. No, you mean when they see the photos and stuff? No, it was reminding me of all the different things. And there's some little pictures in there, like means the world to me when I was a little kid, winning the first ever Blockbuster Video Game Challenge when I had the big fro and I actually had hair. And then what was the other one you had? The Bruno, when I used to cosplay and do really well with costumes and stuff, and kind of outgrew all that stuff. But yeah, I'm impressed you found those. So if I don't react, that means I'm very focused onto it. So.
Oh no problem. Because me and Trish like to sit here because we get to see everybody, even though it's off screen. We get to see everybody still down at the bottom. So we always usually see people laugh because I do. I dig. I for a week I dig down to try to find stuff you forgot you had.
Yeah. Sadly, I don't forget anything. I have like the craziest memory that it's almost a blessing and a curse.
Okay, we already got some comments. We got Scott Finster. Hey Scott, how you doing?
And then we got cool that it shows multiple things. I really got to get into SteamYard.
Oh yeah, we got Freed, Jebated. We'll get into Jebated a little bit later. So you have organized, I tell everybody it's the second biggest gaming fighting tournament championship in the U.S.
Championship tournament.
Yeah, somewhere.
Tournament. Let's go with that. Yeah.
Okay, in the U.S. Am I wrong? Are you number one or are you number two?
I'm number two in the world, technically.
In the world,
okay. In the world, dang.
Number one. Well, in terms of just being open to as many competitors as possible. One that's very close to me is Combo Breaker in Chicago that my best friend runs as well. That has been really growing just as fast as I have, if not faster. But Evo, the Evolution Championship Series, has been in Vegas for about 21 years now. So they've always been the big dog that everyone goes to in Vegas. And then CEO started in 2010. And then by the fifth year, so it started becoming like the second, third biggest in the world. And yeah, 2019 was a pretty damn big year. And now just nothing. And I almost feel like I got to start over when stuff comes back. But I'll be ready to continue what I started. Even if I have to start over, I'll be ready.
And Freed says CEO is a better tournament. The title belts, the fun entrances. Oh yeah, I mean you have
the stuff I can't ever comment about publicly, otherwise I look like an asshole. But yeah.
Now we actually. Now you had one in 2020, right?
Yes, I had CEO Dreamland. The
Dreamland.
Second time doing that after a 3-year hiatus, and that was the worst week of my life as an organizer, dealing with COVID shutdowns literally happening the day of. I would have canceled that thing in a heartbeat if it didn't mean I would lose $250,000 and CEO goes bankrupt because nothing was shutting down legally. Like people were still working and doing stuff, and the hotel's like, nothing shut down. You know, if you want to cancel it, that's on your contract. And then I called the bluff. I went through the event. I openly gave everyone a refund that asked for one. Didn't even ask for anything or tell people, please, still show up. I'd let everyone make their decision. And because back then, I think about it every day. When that event happened, there was like 5 to 10 cases of COVID at all in the state, a whole state of Florida. Nothing. So you're like, okay, this is a very minute, a very not ostracized, but a very dedicated thing happening. And I'm like, as long as we wash our hands and stay safe and all that and to the best we can. But I gave out about 800 refunds, and then a donation drive got started to keep the event afloat. And so it saved my ass. The community, as always, has always been there for me. But it was crazy to deal with what I was going through, seeing all the tweets of like, why isn't this event canceled and yada, yada. Because people, I tell people if my event was a week later, it would have been canceled. I would have had no choice. and I would have been less stressed about it because the hotel would have had no choice either with a shutdown. But yeah, would never wish that situation on anybody. But technically, of 2020, I'm like the top 5 biggest gaming events of the year for that year, for everyone who was able to pull off an event before March.
Well, we thought it was funny because we had the week before we had just got back from Chicago at C2E2. We
I was
hit
there as well.
we hit CEO Dreamland, and then the world stopped.
Yeah.
It was like, but
and then I got the best 1-year vacation of my life from not traveling every day and tournaments and events. And it was, I wish it hasn't lasted this long. None of us thought, we thought it'd be a couple months thing, we'd nip it in the butt, but let's not talk politics and how the government handled it at the time. But I mean, it took over the whole world, there's nothing we can do about it. And just, I rolled with the punches. The first few months were miserable, dealing with the repercussions of the fallout of the Dreamland and March event. And then, just seeing, I had 2020 was going to be probably obviously the biggest year of my life because it kept growing. But I did 9 countries in 2019 in terms of DreamHack, which I also worked for, running events. I run the Pokemon World event for Pokken Tournament. So I was just all over the place in 2019. Then to go from that to 2020 was nuts. And it's funny because I did 5 events in 2020, which is a lot for the start of the year because normally people take a break until spring. But I did DreamHack Anaheim, which was DreamHack's first event in Anaheim, California. I stayed there for a week prior. I consulted and ran an event called Anime Ascension, which was an anime fighting game event. I'm friends with the marketing woman in charge of that, who was awesome to work with. So I stayed in California for 2 weeks. I got sick that trip, and I don't think it was COVID, but I got really sick from something. So I came back. I took a week off to recover, and then I went to Chicago for C2E2, which I think was the end of February. I was there for AEW wrestling and their Revolution pay-per-view, which was an amazing show. And I never been to C2E2, and it was really cool to see, even as a guy who runs his own cons, I'm just as big a fan, if you can't tell from everything here, as anybody else of all things pop culture. And C2E2 was great. I really like that venue, the McCormick Place. But I was there for the wrestling and then got to do C2E2 stuff. And then came back from Chicago. 2 days later, went back on a plane to Chicago for the Mortal Kombat World Finals that they were having in Chicago. So I spent 2 weekends in Chicago. But the day I got there, they canceled the event to the public. But because I was a VIP, I got to stick around. And they basically, because Warner Brothers was in charge, they cut the cord on any public people. They had the finalists go there. And that weekend's where we were just like seeing the world shut down at the same time, getting through this event. And Keith David was there, the voice of Spawn. He was a special guest. So he was the last celebrity you could say I hung out with before this all kind of, went on vacation, other than my AEW friends. Those are the only events I've gone to is an AEW show in Jacksonville. Because I would be backstage. They would test everyone for COVID, blood test. And I felt very comfortable being around groups of people, with AEW. So, yeah, that was my 2020. And then 2021, trying to plan events this year. We'll see what happens.
Well, I'm going to go back to 2019 for CEO itself. That one, I'm going to say it means the most to us because our son was in like a really horrific accident. Somebody hit him and he was on a scooter.
Mm-hmm.
And your show was the only thing that got him like moving so he could actually go see some of his friends at CEO. So it was one of those that CEO is always going to hold a place in my heart now because he about gave up on life after getting hit until CEO came and he got to go see some of his friends. Because one of his friends that he grew up with is always in the Smash Brothers tournaments. So it was, your show was very good for him.
That's
it
awesome.
was
Thank you.
First time we saw him smile in a long time.
How's he doing these days? Everything better?
Oh yeah, everything's better. It was just some young girl on her phone while he was coming home from work and did not see him because she was on her phone and pretty much ran him over.
Oof.
So
I'm glad he recovered. I'm glad to. I get a lot of, the Dreamland event 2020. I had mothers that went and they're like, "Thank you for not canceling. This was the last time we got to do something fun." So I wish I wasn't even put in that position because it was a hard position, but I'm glad we pulled through. Nobody got sick. I literally messaged as many people as I could like 2 weeks later. I'm like, how you feeling? Is everything good? And, nothing negative came out of that event for the people that were able to attend. So, but yeah,
That's
2019 was, it's like one of those things that was lightning in a bottle for working with Kenny Omega with the wrestling stuff that I don't think I can ever top 2019 CEO. I really thought it was the pinnacle of fighting game events mixed with live wrestling and entertainment, and just the staff was so on point, and the vendors, the art. Like, I just was so proud of that event. We had 10 stages, I think, fighting game stages with streams, which was unheard of at the time, outside of Evo, which usually is like 7, 8, and then Common Breaker is about the same number as me. But back then, when CO started, we had one stream for the whole weekend. A lot of events had 1 or 2 streams. That was it. Now I have like 8 pro tours, and I just hope I can replicate that. I know it's going to be a slow start to get things back to normal, but if I stay on track, give it a couple more years, CEO could be one of the biggest ones in the world.
Okay, K-Rex wants to know, how was working with AEW?
Amazing. If I wasn't happy with DreamHack, CEO, and all that stuff, I would beg them for a full-time job. It was like working, obviously, at the time before AEW really grew to what it is today already in such a short time, right? I was always a WWE fan, never worked with WWE or anything like that, but I had friends there. But, the way AEW's changed the industry is incredible. But working with them, so to give some backstory, the year before, and I've told this, I think, on my podcast with Kenny Omega, when we did the New Japan show, that was literally me, Kenny Omega, and my production team called Tenno Productions that runs Evo, CEO for all the fighting game stuff. And they learned how to put on a wrestling show, a live wrestling show in production. We worked with a local UPG Ultra production group that provided, all the lighting and audio and stuff. And that was, I wouldn't say rough. We had a late start that day. I'm somebody who pays attention to every mistake that's made. I always make sure to make it better and stuff. And I love feedback. Like, I can differentiate the hate feedback of like, fuck your shit, it sucks. Am I allowed to curse on this thing?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Fuck your shit, this sucks. Or like, hey, I would have done this better. I'm like, perfect, thank you. So, because I worked in community management in the gaming industry with Iron Galaxy, so I had to read a lot of crappy emails. But that show was special because I got to put everything together with my team, and really New Japan just sent us over the contracts and the performers, and Kenny did all the translating because Kenny Omega speaks perfect Japanese. But I tore my Achilles tendon, and I was in a wheelchair that weekend, and I was going to be in a match that I had trained for, but obviously having one leg, I couldn't perform the way I wanted to. So that sent me back for an entire year that I recovered. But the New Japan show was a lot of stress because it was us handling everything. Fast forward to a year later, once I found out a new company's coming, and Kenny's like, hey, we're going to do Fighter Fest again. This is awesome. Hold on, my mother's texting me.
No problem.
Can I stop by in an hour to show you my new iPhone 12? I need a little help. See, this is my life.
Gotta love moms.
Yeah. Well, I'm very helpful to my family, or I try to be. Sure.
That's how it should be.
We can pick out a kid. I actually I've always been close to my family, but COVID really would visit my dad, take the dog over. They have a backyard. I do not. And so, like, yeah. What you call Warren? That's too bad. What was I going to say? Pick out cases 2 after 9:50. I'm so sorry. All right, let's get that done.
Oh, no problem.
A Tinder message. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, Mr. Dork, you don't have any say on my show.
Warren's awesome. He's done a lot of my designs and stuff and my memes. So it's always a pleasure to work. And he sells the CO merch, like all the leftover merch. We'll add it to his table. Thank you, Warren. Hope you're well. But what's your call? So fast forward, the New Japan show happened. People had a great time. We didn't sell as many tickets because it was literally on me to promote the whole thing. And that was one of the first times a Japanese company performed in Florida. So the fact that I got to do that, with Kenny Omega, one of the best performers in history and one of the greatest guys I've ever been friends with through gaming and wrestling and stuff. When AEW came in the next year, literally, I felt like I was a part of a team. Like we went and toured the venue that I had already run events for. They pretty much took over everything and handled the wrestling show. The first year we did it, AEW came in, and it was just such a great chemistry. It was easy to work with them. I had challenges as an organizer. We didn't agree to the show until after the hotel had already sold out. So finding extra rooms all over Daytona, I coordinated that with their staff, but it just felt really good to get the trust from a $1 billion industry, out of nowhere. Who's this video game guy running, but Kenny Omega put trust in me. So Tony Khan, their owner, and it was just great. Such a great group of people to work with. Like, it was a dream for me. It really was. So having the AEW show and being able to be in a match as well, and how that all happened, and it was, I can't top that year, man. Like, if I never get another show from AEW again, like, I'll be okay with it, because it went out on top with that, even though I lost my wrestling match, but that's another story. But yeah, working with companies, man, it just comes down to communication and just going, hey, what works for you? Let's make it work. If it doesn't work, we'll figure it out. Stuff like that. So again, a lot of back and forth, but I felt really at home because they knew I knew how to put on an event, and that all the logistics behind a convention are almost as much as a one-night wrestling show, if not more. I'm doing 3 days straight of content and scheduling and staffing, to do a one-night performance show at their scale is such a bigger level than most conventions, but it felt great. So AEW, I love those guys. I'm still welcome there in their locker room, which is a great feeling. And like I said, if I didn't have my career going so well with everything, I would try to get into wrestling, not as a performer. Those days are done, but I know how to now put together live wrestling shows and all that experience of building events and stuff. So it's every people, I don't know if you follow the esports community in general, but now there's a website trying to do certifications for esports to get you into the industry. I'm like, man, that's not going to get you anywhere. You got to do these events. You got to get out there, stuff like that. So, yep. Okay, Rex, thanks for the question. Yeah, I'm glad you had a good time. Again, we'll never forget that night. And I wish I wasn't recovering from a bad ankle, because I would have done more. So.
Oh yeah, I think we were there that night too.
Yeah, we were.
And then of course Warren laughing, all that. Now I think it's funny that, like, Warren knows everybody. I mean,
he's a sneaky bastard.
I'll agree with you there.
Oh yeah, he is. But he's like Kevin Bacon. He
you
got
ever see
that.
A guy pull up to you with a car? He goes, "Hey, you see this? It's a hot press. What design do you want on your shirt right now?" Like, what? Like,
I could see that.
Oh yeah. Well,
fuck. What was I gonna say? I forgot the rest of the joke. You're lucky. Continue.
Oh no, he's made me a couple shirts. He even made me one for yours, with the Atari joystick saying I was classically trained.
Yeah.
Okay, Stephen Sore Thumbs Conkin, did you go to Miro's private MK screening?
I knew about it, but I couldn't. Going to Jacksonville for AEW was like a 2-3 day thing for me to get tested the day before the show and all that. So, but I've been so busy working on a DreamHack project called DreamHack Beyond that we just announced. That's it. My dog, which my COVID dog, right? What you call it? I didn't go to that, but I saw, the day it came out on HBO Max and stuff. I don't want to talk about the Mortal Kombat movie. I enjoyed it, but there's so much wrong with it that it bothers me that they could have done so much more with the actors and the cast that they had, but they blew it. But it opens up the doors to all these future projects that they're going to work on with the Mortal Kombat series, because no matter what, Mortal Kombat's always a successful franchise. So, yeah. But yeah, I knew about the screening, just didn't go to it because I wasn't in Jacksonville.
So, what do you think about The Miz being Johnny Cage?
That won't happen. I think he'd be great, but I don't think that's going to happen. There's somebody else who not John Cena, some other famous person that like put a picture of them being Johnny Cage, and people kind of agreed to it. Even Ed Boon, the creator of Mortal Kombat, said, like, give us a call. Who was it? Now it's going to bother me. I got to look this up. Yeah, we'll see what they can. I'm sure they already have their whole cast planned out for the next, you don't tease something and not know what you're going to do right away, as they did. So, Ryan Reynolds made a tweet. He would make a great Johnny Cage. I just don't think he's buff. He's jacked, but he's not buff. So we'll see what they do.
I think The Miz would actually kind of fit that with the arrogance and everything. I would
love The Miz.
Yeah, but have you seen the Marine movies with him? Oh, Jesus Christ. No, I'm just kidding.
Really?
Okay, Freed wants to know, what's your thoughts on Japanese-style players sitting apart versus American-style where the players sit next to each other?
So basically he's referring to either head-to-head setups or one setup, two people beside him. It really depends on your production. I mean, post-COVID world, we might have to separate, for a couple events and such. Me personally, you get more... it feels more authentic to fighting games, because fighting games was born in the arcade where you were, and now, like, when I play on an arcade, even a full-size one, I'm like, how the hell did I fit with somebody else on this all those years? of playing Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter for like 5 hours a day. I don't know. Now, I'm a huge dude, and it's harder now, right? But I think it's more authentic to that when you sit next to each other. It kind of depends on the production, but head to head can work too. It just depends on the setting and stuff. Me personally, I would prefer my own monitor, to be honest with you. But again, the authenticity of fighting games is being next to each other, the pop offs. When you have one guy one side and one guy on another cabinet or TV, it doesn't. You got to get double the cameras, double the production, and it's not as fun in my opinion to watch. But me, it's never about what I've always wanted. It's always about what the players want. I go with the majority, and I've done votes on stuff like that. Would you prefer head to head or whatever? So it always goes back and forth. But for the most part, I like a lot of things that are totally different from what my attendees like, but I listen to the attendees before my own ego. So.
Well, Freed says side by side seems to result in more random pepperoni moments.
Yeah, pepperoni moment. That must be an inside reference to something that happened that I totally forgot about. They'll tell me.
Now, is Street Fighter like one of your favorite games? Because as I was doing my stalking bit, I noticed a lot of everything with Street Fighter.
Yeah. This is my fighting game room, pretty much. My office. On this side, I have a bunch of Killer Instinct stuff, Final Fantasy stuff. But Street Fighter is probably the most familiar franchise in terms of just product, right? Collecting statues and stuff. It's easy to find Street Fighter and Marvel stuff, right? When you look at Mortal Kombat's in the world, like I have a Shao Kahn right back there. John, I can never do that in reverse. Anyways, but Mortal Kombat's been really slow behind it. But Street Fighter, the first fighting game I ever played was probably Karate Champ back in the day with my I had two older brothers. So Karate Champ was probably the first one. And after that was Street Fighter 2 Turbo. My brothers brought home when we had a Super Nintendo, which was 92, I think. I was like 8 or 10 years old. But in the 90s in arcades, I played more Mortal Kombat than I did Street Fighter. And back in the day, Tifa, lay down. Back in the day, I was a hustler in the arcades. I would actually use my sister's word processor, which had 1 megabyte of memory, right, on a floppy disk. And I would use my brother's prodigy.net to go online and find out the fatalities and the codes. And I would type out my own forms and I would sell them at the arcade for like $5 so people knew how to do the fatalities. So I was a smart little kid back then somehow, but I was also a little cocky shit because nobody could beat me in Mortal Kombat either. So a lot of arcades would give me free tokens to play. So other people would keep spending money trying to beat me. So I learned naturally how to play fighting games in an arcade. I didn't have strategy guides or pro friends or tournaments. I just played it on instinct with my older brothers until I grew older. They stopped playing. They grew up. I did not. But hey, it paid off, right? Street Fighter will always be the number one game for me. I've been playing a lot of Street Fighter 5. They just updated Ryu, and he's really good now with a new move they added, and it's made me enjoy Street Fighter 5 again. But Street Fighter 4 was my biggest competitive game, and if I wasn't good at Street Fighter 4, CO would not exist. Because I used money from local tournaments, winning Street Fighter 4, to build the start of CEO until I got enough proof to get sponsors on board, and then it naturally grew to what it is today. Street Fighter 2, always my number one. I have so many Street Fighter 2 T-shirts all over the place, and stuff like that. And I've always wanted to work at Capcom. That picture you showed of me when I was a kid with a controller, that was Capcom in California. So after I won the Blockbuster Video Game Challenge, the prize was sending me and 3 people. So I took my mom and 2 brothers to San Francisco or San Mateo to go to GamePro, Capcom, and Electronic Arts, EA Sport, back then. But going to Capcom and seeing the Street Fighter 2 beta board that was in the console, it wasn't a cartridge, it was just a huge computer chip, was the first time I was behind the scenes of seeing how games were developed. And ever since then, I had fallen in love with Capcom, and that was history since. Always loved Capcom, and the fact that I've worked with them and hosted some of their first pro tours and events to one of their largest fighting game tournaments for Street Fighter series and stuff. So dreams do come true,
Freed says that he's talking about the pepperoni, the dudes randomly taking off their shoes at Evo.
About Punko and some other guy that happened once or twice. Oh, she's chewing my chocobo from Japan. So my dog doesn't. So I was afraid to get a dog because I have so much shit. I'd think they would break it. Like a cat would probably jump on my shelves and destroy everything. She has only destroyed 2 things: a Mikasa from Attack on Titan plushie and now this chocobo I got in Japan. And it's always this one shelf on the bottom that she just goes to and takes from. And I love it because she's finally being a freaking dog. So yeah, Street Fighter to answer that question.
Okay, Boris says they had a knockoff Street Fighter game in the old country. Boris loved playing Old Man Dombrowski. His special move was to throw a bushel of semi-rotten potatoes at you.
I think he just made that up. So yeah, I know nothing about that game.
But this is Boris that Trish thinks is dreamy.
Oh, that guy.
Yeah.
I love that game, Boris. So let's play sometime.
And Steven says insider intel on Riot's fighting game.
I have absolutely no idea, but I am excited because the guys behind it care about fighting games, and I think if anybody can do a good job coming into the space, it could be Riot. So it'll be a big deal because Riot is huge into esports and tournaments, and we'll see how it plays out. But I'm excited for it. I just hope it's not a like PC exclusive fighting game, and then we're stuck trying to buy, because as an event organizer for fighting games, we can't get 100 PCs. Like we had 300 PlayStations at CO 2019, like 100 Switches and all that stuff to get PCs, which are like 3 times the cost each, and so many logistics that I won't get into detail with. But I'm excited for it. So we'll see how it goes. Hey, Noel from Chibi's Boba. How are you, friend? I haven't seen him. I went to the Florida Mall and your place was closed, man. Thanks for the warning. Sorry.
Yeah, he closed down the one over by us.
What part of Orlando are you guys?
We're over by the airport area.
Oh, so yeah, that Conway one or something.
Yeah, the one over there by that Publix.
I remember it had like the little grassy playground on the side. That's what I called it.
And he's saying he's great and he's sorry. Don't be sorry. You got to make money.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he's saying he's sorry that you closed. Okay, see. I thought he was saying sorry because he closed down, but no.
No, he's not sorry for you. He's sorry for Alex.
Oh, I would be sorry for Alex too. He's the important one.
As he should be. Thank you.
Exactly. Unless Warren's around, then Warren takes top. So, in your free time now, what do you do?
Gym 5 days a week. I have a DDR machine. I've been getting back into the DDR machine, although my joints aren't what they used to be when I used to play religiously. DreamHack, honestly, has been keeping me really busy. Like, I've been doing a weekly tournament called Community Clash. We just finished our 3rd season of it for 2 months straight. And that's a great question, Freed. We'll get to that in a second. And so the DreamHack Beyond project, not to get too much into depth about my work, but it's basically an online digital festival we're going to do in July for over 8 days. Free to enter. And I would love people like you that are everyday con goers to check this out, because it's basically like an MMO for a convention where you're going to go into a little world with your character. You're going to be able to unlock XP and unlock different clothing sets and secret stuff and Easter eggs. And we're making these like different kinds of worlds. I can't really talk too much detail yet. But we're working with a really cool developer. It's basically a mini DreamHack video game, like a convention. So I'm excited for that. So I've been doing that for 3 months straight. And they just gave tomorrow's the last day before we take a week break, the American office. So I'm going on a cabin trip next week for the first time because I have a lease on an SUV that ends in July, and I'm 12,000 miles underneath, what I should be because of COVID. I didn't go anywhere. Lately the dog kept me busy for the year. I always wanted a dog, but I traveled too much. And as a single guy, it is hard to take care of a dog when you're traveling. But I thought it was just time. I knew I was going to be home for a while. So I got the dog. First pet, my first dog ever. I used to have like rabbits and guinea pigs as a kid and hamsters. That's not as big of a responsibility. But getting the dog, I watch so many damn YouTube videos every day how to train, because when I do something, I want to do it to the best that I can. Right? I don't half-ass anything. It's not in my blood. Although a lot of people don't realize this. You see how great big and CEO is. I'm lazier than you think leading up to the event. I do all that shit in the week before. No, there's a lot of times where I just like to do nothing and play video games. Everyone likes that, right? But being single, not as much responsibilities. I would love a family, when the time's right. So the dog kept me busy. I walk her like 3-4 times a day. I go jog with her in the mornings, stuff like that. And I've been trying to spring clean because I have so much shit. And I need an event of any kind for me to open up an artist alley booth and just sell all the extra stuff. Like the little statues or the anime figures I have. We'll talk about that. Because I have a lot of cool stuff that I just don't want to spend the time to ship out and all that. I've been Twitch streaming a lot on CEO Gaming's channel, playing fighting games almost nearly daily on it. I always do it after work hours, you know, the Monday to Friday stuff. So yeah, somehow though, I always end up busy. I mean, now that things are opening up, I'm getting invited out. I'm fully vaccinated now. So I don't mind going out. I stayed in a lot, actually. For a guy that used to be a shy nerd, which I was growing up, that ended up doing something he was passionate about. So it's easy for me to talk about what I do as CEO and fighting games, not because, you know, I made a career out of it. And so it's still fun to me. And the moment it stops being fun or organizing events, COVID or not, like I'll quit. I'll be like, you know what, time to settle down or do something different that isn't revolved about being on social media every day. But I still love what I do. So it was really hard to not be around people 24/7. But once I started hanging out with real celebrities, like the wrestlers of the world, like the Kennys and all that, that are always, you know, the center of attention, that, you know, it calmed me down. It grounded me to just want to be home, more of a homebody. And I love traveling. Like I went to Japan. I've been to Japan 4 times. I was going to go last year to Japan and Korea for a vacation in April. And obviously COVID ruined that. But now I'm like, you know, I had so much fun going to those places, but do I need to go to them again? Probably not. Let me try another experience. So it's just, it's going to be different when things do return to normal, to now that I have the dog, more responsibility. Oh, she is tearing up that chocobo. So, you know, so yeah, I just try to keep busy, but somehow I stay busy. And again, the DreamHack stuff's been keeping me really busy. CEO, you know, I'm trying to do it in December, and that'll keep me busy. And, you know, for the last couple of months, I've been reconnecting with a lot of developers and gaming industry people that I worked with on CEOs to see how they're feeling and how they're doing. And, you know, the benefit of doing what I do is it is kind of sometimes lonely at the top, but I have so many friends that I can just chat with. And I play a lot of online games. I've been playing Monster Hunter Rise with some friends on the Switch, and then fighting games, of course. So I try to stay busy, but for now, you know, I got a nice break to drop some weight down, get back into shape, because I was nonstop in 2019, and just enjoy the little things, you know, the dog, being at home, eating at home, not always traveling, and stuff like that. So, and then got closer with my family, my niece and nephew that are nearby, stuff like that. So.
Okay, before we go to Freed's question, Joe comes on. He says, hello, friends. How you doing, Joe?
Hey, Joe.
Okay, now we can go back up to Freed. Is there a fighting game from your childhood you'd like to see return?
You know, I love the Bloody Roar series. I thought those were great. Battle Arena Toshinden was a great one on PlayStation. But all my favorite games have already returned, and one of my favorites was Killer Instinct, which I actually officially worked on. I was the community manager and PR for Killer Instinct, the Xbox version that came out in 2014, I think, or 13. So got to gain work on Killer Instinct, seeing that back. But I mean, the fact that the games I fell in love with in the 90s are just as popular, if not bigger than ever now. Street Fighter, Tekken 7, Mortal Kombat 11, you know. So, but going back then, go ahead.
But where's Clay Fighters at?
33rd, 64th, 63rd and a third or whatever. I was going to get there. Horrible game. Primal Rage, horrible fighting games. So, and Killer Instinct, the old Killer Instincts, horrible games to play now. They do not stand. The only old school games that I can still play nonstop are Street Fighter 2 Turbo or any of the Street Fighter 2s, Breaker's Revenge, which is a big Neo Geo game I really loved, and Mortal Kombat 1, 2, and 3. They're still fun to me. Something like Killer Instinct, you got to really divulge your time back into and stuff. But there's one fighting game. When people ask me this question, what would I bring back? It's not Battle Arena Toshinden. Ear Guys, the one with it was like a Power Stone style game. It had the Final Fantasy VII characters. It was EHGRI. I'm spelling that wrong, but that was a great game that I wish would come back and stuff. So to answer your question, yeah, those games.
Okay, and I'm with Freed. I am strange too, because I actually liked Clay Fighter. I remember sitting there playing against my sister all the time.
Yeah, no, I mean, I thought it was a very interesting game. You know, just when you look back, like, you know, I collect old school stuff and I play a lot of emulators to go through fighting games. Like, there was a lot of jank back then, man. Just so many bad games. People were just trying to copy and paste Street Fighter 2 and stuff. But the good ones, they lasted and stood the test of time to where the fighting game community is now. And, you know, I was worried that we'll go into another dark ages because of what happened with COVID, and, you know, the momentum of some games were about to grow, but then live events turned off. But I think fighting games are in a great position. We got a lot of cool stuff coming down the line that I know of. You know, it makes me excited for fighting games when we are back to normal. It'll be back stronger than ever. I mean, the community is very, very diverse. People love different games. There's so many different games under one banner called the fighting game community. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But Time Killers was another classic, actually. That was another classic I used to play and stuff. So, but back in my 90s, it was all Mortal Kombat, Street Fighter, and Killer Instincts for me.
Now, the one good thing about at least with COVID is now we got so much online play, you don't have to be right next to each other to still at least keep the gaming going.
Yeah.
Because if you think about it, if COVID would have happened in the 90s, a lot of that stuff would have just died.
Yeah, no, I agree. Yeah, and arcades and all that. So the one thing with fighting games, they don't have the best online compared to like the League of Legends of the world and all that. You always got to worry about your connections to each other. But they've gotten better. A lot of the developers, especially Japanese ones that live in a country where internet's not an issue. You know, you go to Japan, everyone's got a perfect connection, like they're next door to each other. You go to America, we're just so wide open. It's different here. But now things are changing for the better, I think, because of online. And, end of the day, fighting game tournaments, like say I have 500 players at a CEO, or, if you combined all the events, you have 10,000 unique players that play this. There's millions of people playing these games that don't even know about tournaments, right? So we're very, very small percentage, but we're the most passionate percentage that basically markets these games for free. There's been a lot of give and take with the developers in a good way since I started. But back, when CO started, Capcom wouldn't really recognize anything outside of Evo, right? It was very hard to get them on your side. Social media, as bad as it can be, there's a lot of good and networking on it and positive. It just depends who you surround yourself with. But it's cool for me to be an arcade baby that played every fighting game. And NBA Jam, I was untouchable in NBA Jam as a kid. Like literally, I had a win streak of like 300 and 0 losses at an arcade that I worked at and played after hours along with DDR. That when I quit, the guy there hated me so much he erased my score, and I was so mad. That took like a year, but totally unbeatable in that game. I had at CO Taco, and I said anybody can beat me, you get $100. Nobody even came close. But back to go from playing these games, spending so much money in the arcades, being dropped off, and then to be in phone calls with Nintendo, Capcom, NetherRealm Studios, and be respected by guys like Ed Boon, who's been to my events. It's just crazy to think about it as an adult now, who's still a kid at heart, having fun. But it's great to see how things have come. COVID really set us all back, but I think once it's over, we're going to look back and go, wow, that really did suck up a year or two out of my life. But, it's time to be positive and move on and grow things to the way they were. So
now, DevMan 1305 wants to know what's your guilty pleasure game.
Oof, I have a couple. So Super Mario 64, I still love to, I don't speed run it, but I like to go back and just dick around and play it. Mike Tyson's Punch Out, I still love playing it to this day. I can still beat it without dying through the whole game. I'm really good at Mike Tyson's Punch Out. And then DDR, obviously, I'm fortunate to have an Extreme Machine in my house, so I play that. And then, Street Fighter, any fighting game really is my guilty pleasure. Now, if you're looking for something that's like just totally off the wall that you wouldn't expect me to play,
yes.
Yeah, Tetris. I'm really good at Tetris 99. I almost win almost every time when I stream it. So Tetris I grew up with. But, there is no really... Every game I play is usually on my stream now and you know about it. But I do love puzzle games. So Super Street Fighter 2 Puzzle or Puzzle 2 Turbo, whatever it's called. And Tetris, obviously. But trying to think, what's one that you'd be shocked to hear that I play?
I picture him as a Mario Kart.
Yeah, I love Mario Kart. I don't go back and play it often. I'll play it with my niece. She's in love with it. But I love Mario Party. I love ruining friendships. But like, I love Mario Kart. I used to play Super Nintendo Mario Kart all the time. I used to use the baby characters, Baby Koopa, and stuff. So I've played everything. That's the thing. I'm not just a fighting game guy. I play everything. I do have a racing cockpit. Doesn't move or anything, but I love Gran Turismo. I love racing games. So yeah, I'm just trying to think. I want to surprise you with a game I play, but I've pretty much mentioned everything I do actually play. So yeah,
I saw Trish get happy when you said Mario Party because that's her favorite is Mario Party.
My jam.
And they just added online to the Switch version, which I haven't tested myself to see. But after 2 years, they added full online modes. You can play with people online now for the new Mario Party Switch, whatever they call it. So that came out like 2 days ago, I think, the update, which was a total surprise because Nintendo is their infrastructure is like 20 years old. So they need to fix their shit.
Yeah, see, I can't play the fighting games because I'm not very good at it. and I would rage quit. But I can do the gaming because there's only a little skill involved.
Yeah. Well, I mean, every game now they've I wouldn't say they dumbed them down, but they try to make it the barrier of entry a lot easier. I mean, kids today, like I played Super Mario Odyssey. I turned on the mode where you don't actually die. It like brings you back up in a bubble. You don't have to start the level over because I'm getting older, man. I don't want to stress playing a video game. I play a video game to de-stress. That's why I'm not like a masochist that plays like Dark Souls just to die 100 times and stuff like that. But you know, back in our day, Ninja Gaiden, all those games, you'd die so much and you'd vent and you stress. But fortunately for me, I don't really get mad at anything. I don't care enough to get mad at a lot of stuff. But I never like broke a controller or got like, fuck, why'd I loot? You know, I was never like that. I'll be a sore loser on the inside sometimes if I feel I deserve to win, but that doesn't really happen anymore. I actually like losing because it makes the other person happy, and that makes me happy. You know, because it doesn't really happen often. I can play a lot of stuff. So, yeah, to answer that question, though, again, Mike Tyson's Punch Out. Every time I get an emulator machine, I play that game first to check it. And Earthbound, one of my favorite RPGs of all time, is Earthbound, and Final Fantasy VII. So,
Steven wants to know.
Don't ask this question. Bad Bunny, get out of here.
Okay.
It's a Hispanic rap artist who's actually gotten really popular, and I never heard of him until WWE started having him on their shows. And I listened to his music. He's got some really good music, but I just like, and he did a great performance for his first wrestling match, which I thought was great. Because I respect people that try to get like, I did it because I always wanted to be I was always a wrestling fan growing up. I became friends with some of the best wrestlers, and I picked their brains, and I learned almost way too fast. Not physically, but like mentally understanding it all. And I didn't get more opportunities because of COVID to show what I had learned. But it's like, it's hard, man. These guys put their bodies through so much. And I just gained, I like to, no, not the Bowser. Tifa, drop it. It's literally, it's this closet here. It's this like thing here. No. Now my other light turned off. But anyways, what was I saying with that? Just learning stuff. So they just put their bodies on the line. They sacrifice everything. And I like when I do something, whether it's like a different industry or something, I want to be a part of it and learn how they do it. Otherwise, you know, I don't waste my time. So I was just very fortunate to have the opportunities I did to do what I did. So yeah, no Bad Bunny, Steel Resurrection. Thank you for asking.
Freed wants to know your NBA Jam team.
Utah Jazz, and yes, I know they're broken. Suck on it. It was Orlando Magic at one point back in the day because in the 90s was Shaq, but Utah Jazz is almost unbeatable in that game if you know how to play Stockton. So,
best quote of the night. No, not the Bowser. That's what the title of the show's going to be.
Like the StreamYard thing to have all three things. And do you use StreamYard to broadcast it to all those sites?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, God damn. All right.
Yeah, because like everybody you see with the Twitch right there, they're watching it on Twitch. The Facebook ones are watching on Facebook. So
I'm sharing this with my coworkers right now.
What is one thing that, because I know you got to get going here shortly because tonight's only going to be about an hour. Forgot to mention that at the beginning. What is one thing?
My mom shows up at the door and my dog barks. Because now I'm stuck. I was going to do something, but now I got to help my mom out. So.
No problem. What is something that you haven't done but you really want to get involved with?
I
mean, like you could be a chef in Las Vegas at Hell's Kitchen.
You know, it's a great question. I ask a lot of people I work with in the industry, or like, you know, if you could go back in time, what would you change? I love the pro wrestling side of things. I really wish if I was 10 years younger. And I was more physical back. I was actually really physical in my 20s, but I would dive into that because it's really such a rush. It's great. And I didn't realize until I tore my Achilles tendon how much of a high pain threshold I had. Like after that, man, nothing hurts me anymore. Like doing the wrestling, when I was getting hit and stuff, I was like, man, this feels amazing. Maybe I just needed the shock in my life. Growing up, I always knew I was going to do something in gaming. Everyone's like, you're going to build computers one day, or, you know, all the family and stuff. Actually, I have the perfect answer because this is actually 100% true. I cannot dance. I move, right? I have rhythm. I move. I don't dance. if I could, I would give up all my successes in the gaming industry to be a street performer dancer, because the power that they can do and take over, the power they have to take over people's interest with just their bodies is a skill and a talent in itself. So I used to watch a lot of dance battle videos, dance stuff like that. I really loved anything that gets crowds engaged. A DJ, a big performer, stuff like that. I was never wanting to be like a rock star or an astronaut or a lawyer or anything. I did want to be a high school history teacher because I love history and documentaries. But for the most part, either like a really famous street dancer if I could. Otherwise, being an event organizer, I keep meaning to make this joke on social media, like 10 reasons you should date a tournament organizer. They can plan your wedding for free. They can plan, all these little things. When you work in my industry, and this is for all cons, your con, any con, you do a lot of us wear many hats, right? Even the wrestling industry, a lot of the smaller promotions, they have one guy doing the merchandise and handling the talent and, the hotel reservation, all that stuff. Like as an event organizer, you handle, at least I do. I don't know how many, I've seen like the bigger events, they have a huge board, right? Me, it's just a small group of people. But I'm pretty much making all the decisions and stuff because I trust myself to put on a good show. That's what it almost comes down to. And thankfully for that injury and being in a wheelchair, I finally learned how to delegate and trust other people to handle stuff if I'm not there, right? I wasn't going to quit. I literally postponed against doctor's orders my surgery by a week to do CEO and wrestle that match in 2018, right? If that was AEW, they would never have cleared me to be in that ring with a torn Achilles tendon. Everything worked out the way it did. And I gained a lot of people's respect for not being a quitter. So street dancing and stuff, but being an organizer, you just have to learn to do so many different things. But one thing a lot of organizers lack that I've met is you can't teach it. It's personality and networking because it goes a long way, right? And it's also it's a curse in itself. If you take me away from CEO, what do you have left? Nothing, and I hate that feeling because I can't, and I don't want to. I can't sell off CEO or just have somebody come in and take over CEO, right? There's people that can run the show, but they can't add that flavor that I've been comfortable adding myself and the entertainment because end of the day, every attendee there, I am one of them. I want to go have fun at events because I've been to thousands of events my whole life and I understand what people enjoy and want. And, I hope that never changes. I hope I don't just grow. Not the Bowser again. I hope I don't grow to a point where I just forget about what made CEO special and all the people a part of it and stuff like that. So, that's pretty much how I'd answer that question.
Okay. So now another hard question.
Sure.
If for some reason the world stopped again and you couldn't do CEO or any of that stuff, what would you do?
Full-time Twitch and YouTuber. I started doing reviews on products. It's actually been a couple months, but I'm at 32,000 subscribers. I just never had time during events and to do that. But, I have a lot of knowledge. I wouldn't say I have the greatest. I can't act, more or less, and I can't be fake. I can't do like a lot of popular YouTube channels are those people, but a lot of them act differently than when they're off camera. I'm the same way in front of camera, off the camera, right? So it's very hard for me to dive into that because I'm doing fine with the DreamHack side of things now. So I'm not forcing myself to do YouTube for money or content. But if I got desperate, I would honestly do that more full time in the Twitch streaming, which has been making me a little bit of money now. Month to month on the side and stuff. I don't, fortunately or unfortunately, I don't have a family to provide for. So all the money goes into what you see here pretty much. But
a new Bowser.
No Bowser.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm not going to buy a new one. I'm hoping one day I have insurance on everything. I have an inventory list. So if anybody's watching, you try to rob me, I'll get a lot of money back. So maybe you're helping me out. No, I keep track of everything. As an organizer, you learn to do that, right? But yeah, I would go into that. Before I did video game stuff, I worked with my family business at Disney World tickets for 13 years, selling theme park tickets. My brother and dad still have the business for 38 years now, and it's mapleleaftickets.com, like the Canadian Maple Leaf hockey team, because we're originally from Canada. So I would probably get back in the family business. I left them in 2014 to be my own man, and that paid off. But yeah, if we go another year and then DreamHack has to let us go, rightfully so, with no live events, that's why we're doing this online stuff. So somehow, 38 years old, I'll be 39 in August. I've made it this far. I'll figure it out if something goes wrong.
You know what I'm thinking? We need to get with Freed, who for no specific. He wants to know your address for no reason.
It's probably online. I don't, good luck though. I have like 6 cameras and gated community with 10 more cameras at the gate. You're screwed.
So, I need to get with Freed and Steven and all these people. We need to get Alex on Dancing with the Stars.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Choreography. I can do choreography. Just on my own, I suck. You see guys like Ninja who made it to like the New York Times Square and stuff for New Year's a couple years ago and stuff like that. Like I've always wanted to be that. People always told me I could be a good game show host, whether it's a used car salesman looking game show host or a good one. But I would love to do more TV stuff. As you get older, you kind of understand how a lot of things work, and you start to let go of being ashamed of stuff. I'm at a point where I've done so many crazy things. What could possibly embarrass me anymore? So
we know.
We know. We're 45. There ain't much. Well, I'm 45. She's 50, but there ain't much that embarrass us anymore. Now, with all these people you meet, all the players and stuff, has there been any of these players that you're like, oh my God, it's cool that you've come to my show, da 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 da?
That's an amazing question, actually. So when I first did CEO, so one secret I tell people when asked, like, what made CEO, like, how do you do CEO? I set one goal I want to pull off every year. The first year was I only had 3 weeks of prep time. It was just put on a good tournament and have fun and bring Florida together, because I really enjoyed the local events before CEO got to what it is. I would go to tournaments, you just play fighting games, have a good time, hang out with your buddies. 20 of you go out to TGI Fridays afterwards and take 3 hours to get your damn food. We've all been through those. Oh, yeah. And so 2010 was about just do a good event, and that was at the fairgrounds. We did the good event, and as soon as I closed that garage on that hall, I'm like, you know what? I think I'm going to establish something bigger next year and grow my own kind of event. And that's when I reached out to the Wyndham on International Drive. I was friends with a woman, Lisa Green, I think. She's at another hotel. And I told him, like, hey, this is 2011, right? I'm like, hey, I want to do a gaming event. She's like, a lot of people come to me about doing gaming events here. You're probably the first person that I know could pull it off. Like the way she said, just the way I was passionate about it and I understood what I wanted to do. Because she said a lot of people would call and say, yeah, I want to do a big convention, and it never fell through. And at the time, I was going to AFO, Anime Festival Orlando, over all those years in the mid-2000s and stuff. So I learned a lot from them. And so went there. I got connected to the Wyndham. So the second year was find a good venue to grow into. I do not like getting small venues and overgrowing them the first year. I like to get something too big, like I got Daytona in 2018, and grow into it. And even 2018, we hit pretty good numbers, in 2019. So in 2011, I wanted to go to the Wyndham for at least like a couple years to build this event. And 2011, we got a Taiwanese player and a Japanese player by the names of Tokido and Gamerbee, which was half funded by me, half by their sponsor at the time called Traveling Circus. And that was the first time Florida, because back in the early 2000s, Atlanta's Final Round was the big event on the East Coast. You had NEC, all these other East Coast events before CO was established, and then EVO in California. So back then it was like New York, Texas, California were the 3 big states for players and talent, and Street Fighter specifically. And then Japan, but Japan only ever sent like 1 or 2 people to a big event, or like 20 went to EVO in the early years. And so in 2011, for me to get 2 international players was a huge accomplishment in my mind. But the second year was that. The third year, 2012, I was like, now I want to get Daigo, the Michael Jordan of Street Fighter from Japan. And he came in 2012, along with a couple other Japanese that ended up translating and stuff. And when that happened, I was like, you know what? I accomplished that goal. Now let me just build an event that's not about the top players. It's about the everyday player. And, and then kind of grew it from there. But when Daigo came in 2012 and I got to announce like the Beast is his nickname is coming, that's when CEO really blew up. Like, wait, why is this guy going to this tournament? What the hell's CEO? And then 2013, 14, and just, it snowballed from there to a point where I didn't have to bring out these players. They were coming on their own because of these Capcom Pro Tours. And, CEO 2019 had players from 41 different countries. Like now, God, 41 countries can't even get into America right now. But like to go back to see all these people coming on their own hard-earned money just felt so special. And so I wanted to focus on making this event for everybody. and stuff. But getting the Japanese players at the time that I was a huge fan of, learning Street Fighter myself, watching YouTube videos, that's kind of how it escalated from there and stuff. So yeah, Daigo and then Tokido, Gamerby, and then I ended up being friends with those guys. I went to Japan for the first time in 2016, and all those names took me out to ramen. You know, they actually hung out with me and took me shopping for toys, and just
so cool.
It was really cool for me to go all the way to their country and them take good care of me. Momochi and Choco Blanca, a very famous couple in Japan for Street Fighter, that when they came here, I got them Disney tickets and they went to Disney, you know, and then stuff like that. So it was just very cool that I was able to, through all these players, whether the Florida players that helped me grow or these international players that came just to compete in the event. Like now when I go anywhere in the world with a fighting game community, I just reach out and they welcome me with open arms. And that's the best feeling, is the people that you meet, you know, the friends you meet along the way and stuff like that. So I would hate to lose CEO and all that, or not be able to see our friends that help put on what we do. So yeah, there's that question.
So Noel would love to see you as a G4 host.
Those guys already had the job, but yeah, go ahead.
Well, I could see you as a host of G4, though.
Yeah, I'd love to. You know, I got to get this gap in my front tooth fixed before I'm ever on real TV. But you know, it's my thing, right? Like everything else is great.
Nobody
like,
cares anymore.
Look at that bottom row. I know it makes me, but I need to change it. But anyways, yeah, I would love to. You know, I love G4 growing up. I just don't know how G4 is going to work, because gamers don't watch cable anymore. We watch Twitch and all that. But I'm sure they've thought that all up. You know, I look forward to seeing that, because, you know, one of the other goals I had with CEO was it wasn't about the top players. It wasn't about having like the biggest prize pools, although I strive to do all those things as well. But it's like make gaming mainstream. Because when I was in college and I would talk about gaming, I would get laughed at, or I'd go out with my club friends. You know, I have two older brothers that we would get VIP at nightclubs and stuff and hang out. But every time people were like, yeah, he's a dork, you know, you know, now all those 7 people are like, dude, I'm so jealous. You're living your dream, man. I'm like, haha, suckers. And they like see.
They were closet gamers.
Well,
Yeah.
we get the same thing in the comic industry, though.
Yeah.
In what sense?
Same thing. Oh, like when you're younger, oh, you're a dork, you're a comic book nerd, and look at, I'm living the life. I know these artists and creators that I always dreamed of meeting and never thought I would. And now, I like how you with those gamers. Now I've gone and had dinner with some of these people that other people get jealous of, and it's like I'm living my life. I mean, I'm loving it.
Nice. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I wouldn't change a single thing I've been able to accomplish. You know, I wish COVID didn't happen, because like I said, so much momentum, but I'm also a positive thinker, and that was the best year mental break, because I was running on fumes and I didn't mind it. That I didn't realize until I got that break how much I needed the break, right? That happened for a lot of us. And it was rough, again, being surrounded by people all the time and traveling. And I had friends over at my house almost every time I was home for a weekend. We would just game at my house, like 10 people in my house. And then for like the first 6 months, I don't think I saw a single person. Even my own family I avoided, you know, because my parents are older. And now everything's starting to come back. A lot of my friends are getting vaccinated. I'm driving up 4 other friends with me to Georgia next week that are all vaccinated. So it's just we all want to get back to normal. We're sick of this shit. You know, if you got into the mask selling business, you're probably making a shit ton of money now. You know, and a lot of things. And I think, you know, I think about a lot of things for conventions. Like, imagine being a company that just comes in and sets up plexiglass shop, like for each event, and renting it. You know, that's going to be making a killing for a while. So you got to think about ways to adapt to the way the world is. Just obviously, we never thought in our lifetime, 2020, you know, so much communication is out there. It's so easy to talk to people, figure where shit comes from. But no, we didn't do that because we ignored it. I don't want to get into all that. So yeah, we'll see what happens over the summer. I think if we make it to August and like 60-70% of people get vaccinated, or the numbers go down, regardless if people want to get vaccinated or not, then we kind of start to see normalcy, and then kind of take it from there. But I'm ready to scale up or down whatever CEO I have to do.
Now, Steven says Jericho was on Dancing with the Stars, so you already have an in.
Yeah, DWTS. That's what that means. Thank you. I was wondering what you were saying. Yeah, no, I can talk to Jericho. Actually, the wrestling ring you see at CEO is mine. Astro Gaming helped pay for it, and I keep it at a local school. but it's in Sting's home in Texas. That's where he's been training as the CEO of Wrestling Ring. And I haven't gotten a chance to be at a show when he's there and say, hey, you're using my ring. Can you sign, the side somewhere when I get it back, just being connected to those kind of people has kind of been insane as well. Meeting all my, the people I idolize in wrestling they're human just like us. A lot of celebrities are just people with better jobs. That's how you got to look at it.
Yes.
But you also have to admire what got him to that point and look at that. And I love origin stories and reading stuff. Not the Tonberry. Get away. Anyways, just going for the third doll. No. So yeah.
The life of a dog daddy.
Yep.
I know, right? Well, no, she's never liked it. It's just The Office. That's why. Oh God! When I get a new house with a backyard just for, because I don't have my own backyard, I am going to just put everything in one room, keep it locked, my only way in, and that's it. So
now we're going to go over to our neck of the woods. Superheroes. And
yes.
Who do you currently like?
Silver Surfer will always be my favorite Marvel character because he's basically a space bum that gets to just fly around the universe on a freaking surfboard. Like that is the easiest and laziest job on earth. Who wouldn't want to do that? I'm my downstairs area is my Marvel area because of Marvel movies and stuff. Iron Man, obviously. I like Deadpool, but I don't like him as much as you would think a sarcastic son of a bitch like me would. Whatchamacallit? God, Cable. Grew up on Cable. I actually have his let me go grab some of these.
I like his CEO chair.
I know, right?
Makes me feel all
not as cool as him.
That's from GT Omega, a sponsor from England. I've gone through like 3 different sponsors over the years for chairs, but so I'm going to show you a bunch of stuff. So I've been cleaning out. My parents are renovating their house, so I went in my old closet and pulled out. I used to play a card game called Versus System.
Yep.
Oh, actually, hold on. New art for my volume 2 just came in. Oh, nice. That's a good picture. Oh God, no, that's the worst picture of me. Come on, bro. Once I hate you so much. Hold on one second. I have my own mixtapes on Spotify. Just look up CEO Gaming. We're about to release volume 2. So yeah. Hold on one second. All right, sorry. God, it's a good pick. Anyways, all right. So Versus System I played. So I have like 20,000 cards of that. The commons, as they call them, they make so many of them. They're not worth much. So I've been trying to get rid of them. And I keep going in this Versus System collectors group, and I keep posting like little tidbits like, dude, when are you going to sell your shit? I'm like, when I organize it. That was like a year ago when COVID started. So I've been very lazy. But Cable, number 1, the original number 1, I have it. I think if you get them graded, which is a whole process, this one's worth a couple $100. But I used to collect comics, and a lot of us now, like, I wish I kept a lot of retro games that I used to just trade in my games. I collected more statues than gaming side, but I have like almost every console somewhere in my house. So I grew up on comics as my older brother. So my older brother had the Punisher miniseries, and the rest of them are somewhere, but this is like worth a pretty penny. This is one of the first. Before they released the whole series of Punisher, they did like a 5-part miniseries of him. So, and then I got a bunch of crap ones that are like, come with your loot boxes. I did that for a bit, but Alpha Flight, the old Alpha Flights, like I have maybe some hidden gems in here. Defenders, not the shitty Netflix show. A G.I. Joe, like I've got some old shit here that who knows, Weapon X. So I gotta just find somebody to just sell these for me. Factor X, Sabretooth, that's who it is. Growing up, Sabretooth is my favorite Marvel character. He was just such a badass. I liked Wolverine, but I just for some reason like Sabretooth a lot more. Shadow Special, the first appearance of Wolverine, Alpha Flight. So I believe this is a copy. I don't know, it might be real, but yeah, these look old as shit. I mean, dude, 60 cents back in the day, right? Uncanny X-Men. X-Men Alpha, first one. I've got a Captain Planet. Like, I wish these were worth something.
Captain Planet.
Yeah, Bill and Ted's. My God. So I've been going through these. I'm sure some of these are worth money because I didn't realize halfway through COVID, a lot of this shit started ramping up and becoming worth something again. So
If you need some help selling, we know some people.
Yeah, I might have to. Oh my God, NFL Super Pro with Spider-Man on it. Don't know what the fuck this is, but this says New Mutants #1. That might be something. Weapon X, X-Men Adventure. Ooh, this was actually one of my favorite comic covers.
Oh, the X-Men
coloring of Jean Grey and everything, and Professor X. My favorite comic book cover ever. I have a poster of it downstairs by my TV. Is the Todd McFarlane Venom over Spider-Man. Very famous comic book where Venom's big ass face is over him and stuff. So another Alpha Flight. I got X Factor #3, the original. So this is all early 90s. So something with Ghost Rider, who is really good, but they'll never make a good movie about him. Robin, I don't know what this is. I think this is, so anyways, so comics. So yeah, we should definitely connect on that because I have a lot of stuff that these don't mean as much as they do to me anymore. And I used to have a bunch of comics where I had a friend take those comics and she made me, she plastered a bench for me that's in my game room downstairs. Oh my God, is this one #1 Conan universe? Is this something? I don't know. So Bloodstrike with Cable and Wolverine. Anyways, who knows what I have here, right? So to answer your question, what was the question?
you kind of answered it. Who's your favorite?
Yeah. So Sabretooth, bad guy forever. Thanos, after the movies came out, obviously they did such a good job of bringing him to the screen. But yeah, Silver Surfer will just always be my favorite character. I loved his original cartoon. Dark Phoenix, another badass character I like. So yeah.
So Noel wants to know, how many Hot Toys do you have?
And Batman. Hot Toys, I think I have 1 or 2. There's something about paying $300 for a posable figure that I do not like. I personally do not like posable figures. What was that, Trish?
I said I agree with that.
Yeah, I don't like. I have a bunch, but Hot Toys I do not collect. And there's been some really cool ones. They're very intricate, but I feel I like statues because statues hold value more. I have a Galactus statue that I got for $250. That's worth like $1,000 now. And I have a gold Batman that I paid $750 for because Sideshow gives me a discount, and it's like $2,500. So a lot of these statues are investments for me. Like instead of stock market, I bought friggin' statues because I like the art so much, and I got into a fury of it. But I just don't like posable things. And if I were to get a hot toy, I'd probably keep it in the box. But looking around, I have a bunch of like Dragon Ball stuff there. One day I've been, my YouTube videos, I keep promising a full tour when I really clean up the house. So that will happen. But
I know that feeling.
Right.
A lot of the stuff you see in boxes are like metallics, or either I got them in Japan or something like that. But yeah, to answer the question, I think I might have like one hot toy that I randomly bought. So,
well, I think you answered his next question too. What was the most expensive comic book character statue you own?
I think it's the gold Batman Gold Knight. I do have a huge Doctor Doom. Not sure how much it's worth now. I have a Thanos on a throne, which is worth a lot. The most expensive one in this room is probably the Power Rangers bust right here. I'll show you the camera. So right there, it's also signed by JDF, Jason David Frank, on the neck.
Ooh, nice.
So it lights up. That Conquers Bad Fur Day, one of my favorite N64 games and stuff. So, but yeah, that one's probably my favorite one. The Balrog is like, I had to get that on an eBay because I missed out when they first came out. But it's amazing to see how big toys are more than ever, how cool they are to collect. I just hate posable figures, man. Something about them just rubs me the wrong way.
Oh yeah, I collect here lately a lot of NECA stuff.
Nice. I bought a few NECA. I love Sideshow. Anything Sideshow does, PCS. PCS makes most of the Street Fighter stuff I have back there. I do have some Pops. I don't actively go after Pops, but if I see a special one somewhere, I'll pick it up. But it's amazing to see how far Pops and Funko comes. And I think it's Netflix or Amazon that has a really good Funko documentary you can watch and stuff. So
that's Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix. So, and then the toys that made us, all that stuff. I have some cool turtle statues downstairs. Yeah. So, and I think the most rare thing I have in my house is probably my PlayStation 5. Really hard to get those these days, it seems.
It is.
So,
I'm waiting for about a year. They'll make their appearance.
You know what? I bought it day one. but there's really not a lot out for it. So you're not missing on anything, because by the time you do get one, you'll have enough time to catch up on what actually came out. So, you know, but yeah, anyways.
Well, back to the show, The Toys That Made Us. Have you watched all those?
I watched the He-Man ones, the Star Wars one. I think I've seen all of them except season 2. I think season 2 came out.
Yeah. So did you see the Power Rangers one?
Yes, I did see that one. So yeah, and then I loved the wrestling one, was a really good one. It's just been a while. You know, a lot of the things I watched during COVID have become a blur to me. You know, and all I remember watching at this point is WandaVision, you know, Falcon and the Captain Winter Soldier that just finished. Invincible's an incredible show. Umbrella Academy. I loved Umbrella Academy. I read the books after I watched the show. So
now, I was just asking about the Power Rangers one because the guy who's has the biggest Power Rangers collection is here in Florida. He's actually one of our friends, and he puts on Ranger Stop here in town.
I know him. What's his name?
Michael.
Mikey.
Everybody calls him Mikey. Mikey, or one of the guys. I used to play DDR with him back in the day at Rocky's Replay. He might be the same guy. I'm thinking. I'm so sorry if you watch this and I forgot about you. But yeah, whoever puts on Power Ranger Con, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Ranger Con. Yep. Ranger Stop.
Trish, send me a Facebook profile. I'll know if it's him.
Yeah. Well, no, Noel's even on there saying Mikey. Yeah.
Okay, it's probably Mikey. So
yeah, Mikey is a great guy, and he.
Sorry, and we're good on time. No rush. So I'm waiting to see if my mother needs me.
Okay.
My task. Go ahead.
Noel wants to also know who's your favorite comic book artist.
Who did Frank Miller? Right? Was he an artist or he just wrote stuff?
I think he just wrote stuff.
What you call it? You know what? I didn't appreciate artists until I started having artist alley tables at my events, if that makes any sense. So I didn't really pay attention. I just liked the art, and I never equated it to the artists that wrote them or even who wrote the comic books and stuff. You know, other than the big names, it's almost like me in fighting games, right? It's like there's Jebailey, but you got like 30 people below me that nobody knows because there's Jebailey. You know, it's kind of like Stan Lee at the top and stuff like that. So, but yeah, anyways, John Sepulveda, it might be the guy we're thinking of. Okay.
No, says, you know, says Frank Miller wrote Andrew.
Okay, cool. There we go. So yeah, I draw blanks. So whoever did the Uncanny X-Men drew those. That was good too.
Okay, so I'm going to go into the territory. Jebailey.
Oh Jesus!
Jebailey?
Oh shit! I'm watching somebody edit our matches. So sorry.
Jebailey.
That actually worked great because I put the picture up and you don't. Okay.
Oh man, it's gonna get. Oh, this is great. He posted a guy I beat and ranked, and then he came back and beat me. But he actually posted the video of him losing to me because he was shocked. He's like, "Wait, Jebailey's playing this game again?" So. All right, I'm still here. Go ahead.
Oh, no problem. Like I was saying, Jebailey.
Yeah.
How does it feel to become a world icon off of that?
I mean, I wouldn't call it a world icon. You got to be into gaming to understand what the hell it means. So,
dude, you have your own song.
I do have my own theme song. Thank you, Megaran, Chris Allen, and Orlando Suber, who I'm talking to now. He's the one that's helping me executive produce my mixtapes. So, anyways, where was I going with that?
And actually, you don't have to be a gamer because I've heard Jebailey all over the place.
You know, it's going to be like, you ever seen the movie Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams?
Yep.
Remember where he dies and that's when they announce him a human or a citizen or whatever? That's going to be me on my deathbed when Jebailey makes it into the Merriam-Webster dictionary as an actual English language word. Honestly,
Hey,
and just
you're
because
in
of
the
what
Urban
people
Dictionary.
what?
You're in the Urban Dictionary.
Or yeah, well, yeah, get your bait and all that stuff. But no, it feels really cool, to have a pose that's synonymous with picture taking. Also makes it very easy for me to just be like, yeah, sure, and then that's it, But anything that leaves a positive impact on people is always touching to the people that have created that thing, not a sensation. That's a weird word to use here, but like it just feels really good, obviously, for people to say it. I never really say it though, but I've always wanted to have someone help me do like a show where it's like get Jebaited, and it's like the gaming version of Punked, and it's me like debating the hell out of everybody. And I just need somebody to fund it, and I'll make sure it's an amazing show. So nothing like Jackass. I don't want to hurt anybody, but but it's a cool feeling. Some things like that, they just happen. It wasn't forced or anything, and then it just kind of took off. But yeah, to hear, I have teacher friends that come to my events and go, another one of my students said Jebaited to another kid today. I hate your guts, and stuff like that. So, but for people to have to think about me outside of events and stuff, it's pretty cool feeling.
Well, you even got your own icon, the little emoji icon.
Feeling.
So, okay, I am going to ask, what were you actually looking at?
Where?
Well, in the pose.
There's a video about it. You can go on Google and type in "what is Jebaited." I believe it has like 1 million views. It was done by an esports website. I can comment in the chat, or I got to sign up. Oh Jesus. What is? Anyways, just Google search or YouTube search "what is Jebaited." 1 million views from 2 years ago, and it explains it. But long story short, that was me looking up at the screen at CEO 2016 when Kenny Omega and Xavier Woods were doing a Street Fighter exhibition with each other. And it was a total surprise to the audience. And I'm looking out there like, yeah, I'm the fucking man. I made this all happen, And I was excited because as a kid, they were entertaining everybody, including me. And I was literally caught in the moment of watching what we had put together for the event and created. And that's kind of basically where it came from. But Jebaited was around since 2012. Or 2011, it was a different picture of me that was photoshopped where I looked like Macho Man Randy Savage. And that's in that video as well. But that's a really well done video by the Score Esports that I'm really proud of. So when people ask, like, what is this? Like, just watch this. It's a 10-minute video. It gives you, I'm on it. They interview me. So yeah. Oh, wow. Jebaited gamer glossary. There's another YouTube. Yeah, I haven't seen any of this shit. But yeah, it's a cool feeling. And it's funny because a lot of words with JE from my last name, Jebailey, were formed in my early years with friends. Like if I beat somebody, like, oh, you just barely won. Or, and there was one event where everyone just put that word in front of everything. And I would play along and add like other words with JE in front of it. So those were always good times. But like I said, it's a cool feeling. When I die, I want people that have met me to just remember they had a good time. I left a smile on their face. They enjoyed my events, and I've had so many people get opportunities in esports and gaming, and they started volunteering at CEO. So that's probably one of the greatest accomplishments, is spreading everything I've learned to others and then seeing them take it and make it their own and then create job opportunities out of it. Right. But right now, anybody in the entertainment industry took the biggest hit because of COVID. Right. So a lot of people transition to online jobs for this stuff, and I hope they really bounce back from it and everything.
Now, I just thought of another question real quick. Have you seen anybody who came to any of the CEOs that was kind of like a newcomer that has just like took off? Like they were a newcomer at your show and now they're top ranked?
I wouldn't say at the actual annual CEOs, but the local events I did, whether it was in Tampa or, like Fort Lauderdale back in the day. But CJ Truth was a protege of mine. He was 11 years old when his dad came to one of my first local events, which was like, 50, 60 entrants. And I was winning those. And his dad came up. He goes, my son's really interested in fighting games. Do you mind sitting down and playing some games with him? And I played with this kid and I gave him everything I could and told him, like, stop jumping at me. Stop doing this. Ever since then, he actually came over last week. He went to Universal Studios. He's like 21 now. He destroyed me. Like, for the first couple of years, he was coming to events, getting destroyed, but learning, and we all helped him. And thanks to Tampa and local community members, we really helped this kid to end up like 2 years in a row. He got top 32 at Evo. He made the Capcom Pro Tour finals. And then Knuckle Dew, who was mostly a Tampa player, had come to local CEOs, or I went to his event, the Tampa events, and I would beat him. And then now he's actually one of the first Capcom Pro Tour world champions. and they're both, young 20s that came to my events. They came to the locals, or they came through the Florida community and became something special. Because back then, another reason I did fighting games and stuff, Florida wasn't very well respected amongst other, I wouldn't say respected, but we didn't have any good players that left Florida. And I was one of the first to start traveling to other events and make my name out there. And then the community grew and grew, and we have a lot of great players, not just in Street Fighter, but Marvel games and all that stuff. So a lot of people have developed, but for the most part, CEO finalists are never locals. It's always either internationals or somewhere else, or you know what I mean? So yeah. To answer your question.
Oh yeah, no. Well, like I said, our son's friend, he grew up. I kept telling my son, do not follow this kid's example. He's not going to amount to anything. And of course, he's one of the top Smash Brothers people. But when COVID happened, I looked at my son and said, look, you have a good job, and he's working at Circle K now.
Yeah. I mean, some people are just stuck on the past if they don't want to try, other stuff, but you can't fault them either for that. But yeah, it's crazy to see that I've built a career off of gaming. But do I see myself retiring off of this in 10 years? Probably not. But I'll think about that year to year when the time comes and stuff. So, because esports and tournaments, they're still in their infancies. But end of the day, people love escapism. They love conventions. They love playing video games with other people. And I just want to bring people together. And it's great for a lot of my events like the Dreamland. A lot of parents come with their kids. And that's the greatest feeling, of seeing the parents get involved with their kids now and stuff. And my parents were always supportive of what I did. But in my mid-20s, my brother was always like, when are you going to quit playing video games and get it, and settle down and all that? I'm like, Dad, it's going to pay off one day. And now he couldn't be prouder of me. So, yeah.
Well, I'm proud of my son's friend, because he did kind of like you. He had a dream, and he worked and worked. And once he got picked up and got sponsored and everything, I got respect for him. But I still told my son, you ain't that good, so you still had to go to college.
Yeah. I mean, I went to college. I got a computer engineering degree. Did I do anything with it? No. But I would still put my kids through college.
Now, I do have to say, as somebody who's never really been into the gaming and the competitions and all that kind of stuff, being at your show, it's opened up to me. I mean, you put on a hell of a show. And it's very dramatic, and I actually end up getting really into it when the gamers come out and they're competing, and I'm like, yeah, go.
Yeah, she turns into like a whole different person at your events.
It's cool.
But we also try to get people from our world of the comic conventions to open up about the gaming conventions, because it's still a convention's a convention. Yeah. And we try to tell them, it's a whole new experience, but it's an experience that we are glad we don't miss out on.
Mm-hmm.
I have no comment.
Okay, because he wasn't listening. He was doing the nod and yeah. And
no, I heard the question. It wasn't a question. It was a statement.
No, yeah, it was a statement. No, she never wanted to go to one of the gaming convention until we made her, and it changed her whole outlook on the gaming conventions.
And the thing is, you don't even have to be interested in the games themselves. You just see the energy of everyone else having a good time. And one of the beautiful things of the wrestling crossover with CEO, a lot of first-time attendees that were wrestling fans now follow my Twitch, or they were going to gaming conventions before COVID because of CEO and the crossover. And a lot of gaming fans, like New Japan especially, a lot of people that watched that show became fans of New Japan. And then I feel really good about how well AEW is going, but I feel, a little bit not responsible, but proud that I got to work with them and put on their second pay-per-view ever, because a lot of fans that came to CEO that watched that show didn't really watch wrestling for a while because they didn't like where WWE was in the recent years and stuff like that. And AEW brought them back in, because another thing, CEO 2012, we did the NWO theme. We had like a black and white CEO shirt. That was the first time I had a wrestling ring. And I did that because a lot of us fighting game fans in the 90s were huge fans of NWO, Goldberg, Hogan, and all that stuff. And then with AEW that came around, like people went to that and they started going to their other shows. And it's great because every time I go to a Jacksonville show, a lot of the people that went to the Daytona show are there, and it's like meeting old friends again and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Now, Noel wants to know, ESPN has talked about broadcasting covering esports. Would you be interested in being a commentator if you were asked?
So one of my weaknesses is commentating. Unless I have someone carrying me, then I can chime in a lot of comedy. But I'm not good at talking about what's happening on screen in an informative way. I just, for some reason, I've actually commentated a lot of events as a backup or a help out. And people say I'm good. I just need work. All right, somebody's asking me about a jet ski. I'm telling you, my life is always. Somebody's having a birthday party, and there's a company that charges you $120 an hour for a jet ski. Just fucking buy one after a day. Like, I'm not paying $120 for a jet ski. I'll swim and then hold on by a rope. So, what was the question? This is why I don't.
Would you be interested as a commentator?
What was it? Commentating. I don't. There's so many people that are better than me than me. So I'd rather they take the opportunity. But if they want me to be like an MC or a host, I've actually been diving more into that, and I'm really good on stage with a crowd. I just can't commentate at a high level that a lot of these other people do. But I love hosting and MCing and being able to get that opportunity and stuff like that. So.
Now, do you get much into like League of Legends and PUBG and all that kind of stuff?
So League of Legends, I played ARAMs, which is all random, all middle. I don't like games that take 40 to 50 minutes to complete because as you can tell, I get very distracted. That's why fighting games are so good for me because every 3-4 minutes, I get like a 30-second break to catch up on a message or something. I loved Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I played a lot of Apex Legends. I'm going to get back into Apex Legends when their new update comes out. So I play a bit of everything. I do love shooters. I didn't like PUBG because every time I played it on my computer, it ran like shit because it was a game in like early access for a while. But then once Call of Duty Blackout came around, I didn't get into Fortnite, and I don't like the building aspect of it. Otherwise, I would play Fortnite, but I just hate building. I just want to shoot people. I don't want to build a house. I'll go play Legos. You know what I mean? And so... a lot of the shooters I dived into and stuff, and Overwatch for about 2 years. When Overwatch first came out, I played that game at least 3-4 times a week just to get the loot boxes and play the arcade mode and win 9 matches. You unlock costumes and stuff like that. So I've dabbled in a lot. League of Legends, I respect what they've done. Ashe is probably the only legend I remember name-wise, the girl with the bow and arrow. And otherwise, just those kind of games, I can't spend 50 minutes dedicated to a match. Because I spent a lot of my teenage years in the Middle East playing Command and Conquer, and that enough was draining. Because being in the Middle East, after you had a 6-man LAN, because nobody had computers at their house at the time, we would go outside and argue as if a real war had just happened about like, why did you attack me so early? What happened with Germany? Where are your, and this is all in Arabic. So just imagine another language of people yelling at each other, but meaning well. I loved Command and Conquer growing up. One of my favorite games. I played StarCraft a bit. But yeah, stuff like Gears of War, Halo, I grew up on as well. I've played way too much, man. If I can go back, I wish I dedicated more to like singular games, and who knows where I'd be right now in terms of quality. But it's the beauty of gaming. There is so much. You can never play everything. You just got to find what you really enjoy. And the reason I always will gravitate to fighting games, it's the easiest for me to pick up, whether it's a new game or an old game. And it's so easy to just find opponents of all kinds and level up right away. So when you play these esports games, you got to deal with the toxic communities online within the chats. When you have 10 people going at it at once, and one guy says something, then it just opens up a can of worms. But if you have fighting games, it's just 2 people talking trash. Yeah.
Now, talking about 2 people talking trash, have you ever had to like step in and stop any like fights or anything like that?
I almost got into one because I got salty after a loss when the guy took 6 breaks during a match to switch sticks, and I got so fed up I almost snapped at him. But we talked it out. We're really good friends now. But otherwise, no. I've been very fortunate. When I'm around, nobody fucks around because I'm bigger than most people. and very lucky. There was a mini fight that broke out at CO while I was in the wrestling show that I didn't know about until like an hour later, but we took care of it. But you know, back in the arcade days, it's different, right? So when I'm asked this kind of question, back in the arcade days, there was no social media. So shit was like man to man or something happened. So people would try to beat me up at arcades because they couldn't beat me. And I was a cocky little shit that was probably 13 years old talking shit to some 20-year-old in Mortal Kombat because I kept beating him. And there was a point where an arcade had to ask him to leave because people could tell he was waiting for me to like leave and beat my ass. So I've been around some rough people growing up in the arcade era. It's different now. You're still going to see when, you know, there's a lot of people in a room or personalities clash and stuff. But because of social media, people, I think, in person at events are on their best behavior because the moment you do something, the world's going to find out and you're going to have to deal with the repercussions. And I think that's helped in a way. But prevention is always key with conventions, as you know. Always have a good code of conduct, you know, zero tolerance to any kind of harassment and stuff like that. But, you know, being around wrestlers and understanding the art of it and getting with stuff. I was in a couple fights growing up in high school. I got beat up a lot, actually. I was bullied quite a lot. And most of those guys ended up nowhere in life and, you know, karma, but whatever. But now, you know, being 6'2", 250 pounds, nobody really tries to mess with me. And it's a great feeling. But I also want to be there for others and protect people and make people feel comfortable and safe. And so, you know, yeah. But no, I haven't had to step anything during a CEO. I've dealt with cop situations coming to the event because of something that would happen outside of the event itself, but be in like a hotel room. So I've seen a lot of shit behind the scenes. I've gotten gun threats before that I handled with the FBI during an event. You know, there was an event where I had 10 cops show up instantly in Orlando and they're all around me. People thought something really bad happened. I'm like, no, I made a phone call and they brought them there for our protection, you know, in case of a threat or something. So you see a lot, right? You don't know what to expect with conventions. It's a free for all. It's like a Western. We all do it. Tifa, get away from the Yeti mic and the Pokemon bag. That's limited edition. Anyways, so yeah, that answers that question, but I haven't had to break up anything in quite a while.
Okay, cool. I was just curious because it is
security, though. I am licensed and insured.
I was just wondering because it's a 3-day event, and you know, tempers get high, especially when certain players lose and everything.
Yeah, no, totally understood. But you know, Daytona, you know, there's obviously issues with the city that I pay attention to with people, but in the convention had a lot of security, a lot of people felt comfortable, and it's just the beauty of fighting games. Yes, everyone hates each other online. You get so much trauma, but 95% of those people don't go to live events. The other 5%, once they're in person with other people, everyone's good to each other for the most part. But when events do come back, we have to be way more vigilant. There's always harassment behind the scenes we don't know about. You can't police everything, but you can make people aware of where they need to go if they feel uncomfortable. And that's where I think can go a long way in the future with events, like having safe spaces or, you know, this is the admin desk. If there's something bothering you, come let us know instantly and we'll take care of it. So I've been a lot, you know, a lot of situations.
Now, I want to go back to 2019. I think Alex was ahead of himself because I couldn't find it, but I actually have some Alex Jebailey sanitizer.
Yes.
So he knew COVID was coming because he had that out there in 2019.
Well, we do that. No, that was suntan lotion, sun spray.
Was it sun spray?
Actually, no, I did hand sanitizer because I used to get sick a lot from events because I would shake so many hands, kiss so many babies. And then I learned how to just like, I'd be around like, juice me, give me your hand sanitizer instantly. And I, you know, I would say if I had to guess CO 2013 to 2016, I was killing my body during events, drinking energy drinks nonstop. You'd find pictures of me sleeping in like one of the crowd rows and stuff. Some reason I outgrew that tiredness and got healthier. So when I was doing like Daytona in 2019, I was alive. Well, I had a Segway, so I cheated. But you know, I was alive and well, running through, you know, doing that event and stuff. But it's like now, 2018, we had CO masks. Me and a partner, Kwamba, bought like 1,000 masks before COVID was even a word, and gave them out to people because I want people to walk away from CO and have a good time and not get sick for a week. Because I've been to a lot of conventions where you get the con flu or, you know, there's a name for it.
Yep.
And I've paid attention for some reason after every CEO, and it could be the Florida heat just killing everything. I don't see a lot of people going, man, I got sick. What did somebody give me? Stuff like that. So
I think those are needed by day 3 for the smell.
Well, what, the masks? Oh yeah.
Yes.
I was gonna say we need some Jebailey deodorant going on too.
Right?
Yeah, I've been trying to work with Old Spice for a while, but they suck.
Now, what Warren says, confluenza, concrud, whatever. Like you said, everybody has a different name for it. What is one of the biggest? You got Noel says confunk. What is who is one of the biggest sponsors you've got for your shows?
Samsung Simply Mobile was probably the biggest one financially. When these developers, the Pro Tours, come in, they also handle the production on their side for their own staging and stuff. I obviously pay for like the projector and all that, but that's a big swing in my favor as an organizer. Cyber Power, that makes those like standalone bricks. Honestly, AEW is probably my biggest sponsor partner to date. Really, it was just a pleasure to work with them. They helped out with the production value for my finals that we used from the wrestling show. That saved me some money. So I consider them probably the biggest company I've worked with and helped. But Astro Gaming, I always have to give them a #1 shout out. Before they blew up for fighting games, I was one of the first events that like begged them to be a part of it and have their headsets. I'm wearing one of their headsets now. Plugged into almost every single console, because for years, all of our events, we just had the monitor. And if you couldn't hear the screen, you were out of luck. And then they came in with mix amps where you'd put the mix amp connected to the PlayStation, and then both players could plug in their headset. They could rent it for free from Astro. So they've been around for about 4 years with me now, 4 or 5 years. And every year they're always supportive. If I were to do something online, they'd be #1 to help out. So Astro Gaming's huge. But every sponsor, man, just being an event that's just out of nowhere where somebody gives me money to promote them is like the most incredible feeling, whether it's for $500 or $20,000. It's a pleasure to do. And I've worked with a shit ton of companies and stuff. So it's been an amazing feeling. But for Microsoft to come in, Nintendo brought Super Smash Brothers, the demo for Ultimate in 2018. That was a huge deal. That must have sold 1,000 extra tickets in that same week. Just for people that just want to come play the game, not even enter tournaments. So that was an amazing feeling. So it was, it was nuts. So Nintendo, just all of them, anybody who's a part of it. So, and then all the artists, I love the artists. I try to charge them as minimal as possible for the demand that I get. Like it started like $200. I think the most I've charged is like $300 for an artist alley table. Could be wrong if somebody points it out in one of our past things, but and they always walk away happy. I love checking, and a lot of artists like me compared to most big shows because I walk by and check, hey, you guys doing good? Like I make it a point to walk around, shake hands, kiss babies, and my staff lets me do that now. I've gotten to a point where I can trust my staff, where I can walk away from the logistics. And I knew I had made it, and I felt so good when I didn't have to run the brackets themselves anymore. Like I used to run the brackets myself at my earlier events. Calling the names on. Now we have enough volunteers that are amazing to help out. So it's gone a long way. But the one thing I pride myself on, if something goes wrong, I will be there in a jiff to fix it. I've actually backed up people at my own events running a bracket, and when they couldn't show up or something, and kind of took over. And then people are like, wait, why is he doing this? Because a good leader does everything and can help people do everything. So next question. I got to go in 5 minutes now.
No, because you kind of read my mind, because I was going to go about you supporting the local artists. So you kind of segued into that. Okay, since you got 5 minutes, where can, and we'll do this towards as the end of the show, because this is what we always do. Where can people see you next? Get hold of you. What you got coming up next?
So the DreamHack Beyond is my big baby right now. That's July 24th to July 31st. So just look up DreamHack Beyond, and it'll take you to the website on Google. Jebailey on Twitter, always follow. I'm very open about not my personal or dating life, but like what I'm doing, what I'm working on. I've been very transparent on CEO in December, right? So June has been canceled in July, and in Daytona. They worked with me. They were so helpful. They're doing events. People are doing these 1,000-person events, but they understand I can't do an event that doesn't allow international travel safely and stuff. So what you call it here? I got another image to show somebody. Sorry, I'll add another minute to you guys. God damn, I didn't hit right click save. I hate Facebook messages because the way you got to save shit. Okay, sorry. Anyways, so, oh Jesus. But yeah, my mom's on her way. Fuck. What was the question? I am so damn sorry.
No, it is. Where can people get hold of you? You were on Twitch right now. You're talking about Twitch.
Yeah, twitch.tv/CEO Gaming, CEO Gaming on YouTube. Just follow Jebailey. I post any new video on Twitter and such. But DreamHack Beyond in July. June is canceled. I had CEO in September signed, but I'm working on an addendum. I know you know what that means. To switch the September event to December because I want more time to feel comfortable doing an event. And for the hotel's benefit, it's better for me to wait those couple extra months and see if I can do something than just wait and then cancel September and not do anything at all in December. So I'm fingers crossed something's going to be happening. We'll see how it goes. So you know, that Jebailey, just, you know, I used to be CEO Jebailey. I'm like, you know, on my own brand, I do more than just CEO now. I want to do that. So yeah, and then just hit me up anytime. I'm always willing to give advice in the industry and stuff through DMs on my Twitter and things like that. And then when's the next con I need to go to either buy some shit or sell some shit?
What? That would be Daytona, I think, is going to be the nearest one. That's in September. Because the cons kind of slow down a little bit in the summertime. But Daytona Beach Comic Convention, which goes on September 17th and 18th, and Tom will tell me if I'm wrong on the dates because that's Tom's show that he runs. But if you're ever looking to get rid of something or you just want to know some advice or who to talk to, you can always get hold of us, and we can hook you up with the right people who to get in contact with.
Perfect. Yeah, like I said, I don't know how to set up a proper booth, but I'm just going to bring a box and like all the little stuff, just bubble wrap it, put a price tag on it, here, buy it. And then if you want me to sign it, that's another $100. So yeah, anyways.
And of course, if you...
Well, Tom says it's September 18th and 19th. I was so close.
Oh, you talking about Tom Kroom from up north?
No, Tom Ropp, who is the con father. He has his hands in almost every convention down here.
Nice. There is a lot. It's so funny how many of these anime conventions are connected to each other. Or run by the same people. Just I remember there was a point, I think it was 2019, there was like 56 events in Orlando and some had 2 events in the same weekend. Like it was getting to be too much, in my opinion, like too many. But I mean, there's enough people to go around, but at one point, where is it like give to where we just have so many events we got to cut back, but nobody's going to cut back. Everyone's going to do their own thing, and I'm going to support whoever I can. But I'm also going to focus on my own events because I get emails all the time. Hey, can you come bring CO to here? Can you do again? I'm like, dude, I have too much time, and I don't even do it for the money anymore. I do it, you know, because I enjoy it, and I don't like to add more onto my plate because I was doing way too much. And now, post-COVID, I'm just going to focus on the ones that matter to me, which is DreamHack CEO, and then anything else will just depend on my free time and stuff. So, but again, I always like to go to every con, support artists. I have no more room in this house to put anything on a wall, so I can't buy any more artwork without taking something down. I actually have a drawer with like 70 posters that I just like stack, and one day either I'll sell them back or I'll just give them away, or my barcade I hope to open one day has it, stuff like that. So,
well, you see the wall behind me. That's our wall of originals. That's all original artwork. No prints, no nothing. It's all original.
Nice.
That's what my house looks like. Besides the collectibles all around and everything. I don't have them as close as you got them behind you, but we have them all over the house.
I thought about getting rid of these because I have an X-Men vs. Sentinel diorama that's 3 feet wide by 3 feet tall. It's insane. It's 2 boxes. I need to review it for YouTube, but I don't know where the fuck to put it after I'm done. So I've been debating getting rid of the best shelves from IKEA, just doing, you know, they do the garage racks from like freaking Home Depot now, and they just level and put all the big statues and they put a couple in front of each other. So I might have to do that, but I'm trying to save for a house to just have one big room And then when I do the house, I'm probably going to sell a ton of stuff and just keep what really matters more to me and what's been a part of my life, and not just the random knickknacks I've picked up here and there. But almost everything I have here has a story, or I've either worked with the company or I've been a fan of it. And then there's obviously little things that do not. So
I want to go to your garage sale.
You know, I did a garage sale for the first time. I sold $100 suitcases where I got ripped off for like $3.50 each. I'm like, you know what? Just fucking take it and get off my, driveway. And like, dude, there's some con artists with garage sales. I will never do a formal garage sale again. Like, hey, how much for that? I'm like, well, I paid $500. I'll give you $1. I'm like, well, I'll just take it. You know what I mean? I mean, you're gonna get rid of it anyways. But man, I was like, I'm never doing this neighborhood shit again. So, yeah.
Okay, before
you were too damn small. I got this question. Yeah, no. I don't like to crowd places. I hate uncomfortable situations. I'm actually claustrophobic in some respects because I grew up in the Middle East where power would cut in and out on a daily basis. And I got stuck in elevators for like 2-3 hours at a time in pitch black. So I hate tight spaces like that. Like my only fear in life is being on a highway where you got a semi truck and a barricade or a barrier, and you just get sandwiched. Like that happens, I will hit 0 to 100 in 2 seconds.
I'm with you.
Yeah, so that I'm not afraid of spiders or snakes or bugs or any of that. It's fucking being smushed. It's the only, so sure, I like to be a little spoon and cuddled, but otherwise I hate being smushed. So yeah.
Okay, so what going on this week is Spring Hill Toy Show out in Spring Hill.
Oh, geez,
we're not going
to college.
Yeah, we're not going out to that one because usually we go out to all the conventions, but I've just done Ocala twice the last 2 weekends, so I need to stay local. Plus, my job's been having me go out to Tampa like every other day, so we're not going to be going to there. So the next time you'll see us will be next week, next Thursday, when we're on the show with Specs Thompson, and he will be talking about his Kickstarter because he's an indie comic and he has his Kickstarter going on. So that's where you guys will see us again. And
yeah, thank you for having me on.
Oh, no problem. Thank you.
And hopefully you'll see us at CEO.
Yeah, so yeah, it's gonna have a new name. It's probably gonna be like either CEO Rebirth, Resurrection, Revival, or just CEO Offline, because it'll be the first offline event in years. So it'll be a scaled down version, because I don't think people care about the production. They don't care about the thrills. They just want to meet up with people and play games, and that will be the sole focus. At this point, yeah. So, and then I have to regrow it. I won't have the budget. I won't have any of the sponsors that I've had. It's going to come down to community. So, but I think after COVID's gone, or at least at a point where it's manageable and there's no outbreaks and, you're vaccinated, to where it's almost like flu season every year, right? And you just get your shots. It's up to you. And the thing is, like, flus were way down. I actually don't mind wearing a mask when I'm out and about, unless I'm sitting down and stuff. But it's like, as soon as we're back, give it a year. So many events are going to flock in. So many events are probably going to disappear for trying too fast. But the ones that stick through it, I think are going to reap the benefits in the following years. So I hope to be a part of that and stuff. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for coming to the show. You're free to come every Thursday from 8 to whatever. We're always talking. Usually always talking about comics, but I told Trish I really wanted Alex on the show, so she made it happen. And then we have Alex watching and says, "I'm glad you're not sick, Alex Jebailey."
That's one of my staff members. He comes to my house every Tuesday and breaks something. I mean, helps me run online tournaments. So.
Okay, so I am going to do the outro. You don't have to. We'll talk real quick after the outro.
No problem.